Charles, and you're listening to the Fosterdaddirective podcast, where we explore the foster care system and other parenting-related topics. In today's episode, we will actually be doing another episode of Dad's Book Club. The book today will be Dad's Child Custody Action Plan, written by David Zahra, and we'll go over a bunch of other stuff related to his background and other things that he currently has available to parents. As always, please know that I'm not a trained professional. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the host and in the future other hosts or guests, and do not constitute professional advice unless otherwise stated by said guest. Please ensure you seek adequate and effective legal counsel to best protect yourself in this ever-changing system, especially outside of the state of Michigan. And I apologize about the episodes coming out a little bit slower. I don't know how to read the metrics, but I don't really have a lot of people listening, so if you are an avid listener, I apologize. It's not showing very well, so I've taken a bit of a hiatus while the kids are off for winter break, just so I can spend time with them and do different stuff without stressing about a podcast that really hasn't taken off yet. So please be patient with me while I get past this little lull in episodes. So about our author, David Pisarra, he's actually an attorney, author, men's advocate. He's performed men's family law in LA for over 25 years now. He's wrote this book, and I think I saw a few other books on his website. He's interviewed people such as photographers, intimacy coaches, mental health coaches, public speakers, documentarians, authors, sex therapists, the president for Global Initiative for Men and Boys, and a whole lot more. He does have Facebook pages to support this and his other work, so if you want to read this book and then go chat with other people about it, it is definitely an option, and it does seem to be some interaction in that Facebook. So I'll start with the book, because that's the obvious reason you're here. It actually did have a positive review from Savage Reviews on YouTube, so that definitely says things about it. I thought it was very in-depth. It was great. It goes over a whole lot of different things. It doesn't just go over saying that you're a good dad, but also how to prove it and how to show that proof, because in a lot of instances, it will be your word versus the other parent's word. It tells you how to be prepared, how to talk to the judge, what elements they'll weigh in the case, knowing their previous rulings, their demeanor, their courtroom etiquette, things that they look at, what to look for in a lawyer. Do you go big? Do you go small? How much experience should they have? What law should they know? He goes over exhibits versus evidence and how exhibits aren't really all that helpful until you put them into evidence and what to gather. Statements, affidavits, declarations, witnesses, why it's bad to have 9 witnesses when 1 or 2 or 3 at most could suffice. He goes over how to prove that the other side is wrong while remaining professional, how to dress for court, pace and breathing, wording, direct and cross-examinations, emotional control, social network, and how not to use them as an emotional dump, classes you can take, and even gives you resources such as things you can create, such as Dad's Declaration, a kid inventory, Dad's Diary. It all seems extremely useful, even for somebody who's not going through child custody, because there are a lot of things that I use even with the foster care agencies, such as maintaining evidence, showing what I've been doing for the kids, maintaining all that evidence and receipts and everything that is necessary to prove that you are providing for a child and making sure that they are well taken care of. So the book was amazing. I definitely recommend it. I got it for $10 on Amazon. My only complaint was that the QR code for the audiobook didn't work, so I had to read it while I was at work in between making cards. But honestly, the book in general shows positive methods for even normal criminal court and what to collect outside of the child aspect of it. So even if you're just struggling with trying to go to court, I would fully recommend this book. I think it's amazing, super helpful, and I could imagine it would do wonders if you're going through child custody. And if you're looking for other stuff, he did have a podcast. I don't know if it went behind a paywall, but he goes over a lot of different things. In one of the episodes, he said joy shared is doubled, pain shared is halved, which speaks volumes to if you're going through a tough time like this. And also remembering that social network that he goes over in the book and not being an emotional dump, but also using them to help you traverse one of the most stressful and painful times in your life. And he goes over different things such as stories about clients not taking his advice and getting upset with them, not only advocating for your own rights, but for your child's, therapy and the men's stigma, how he goes to therapy, so that social circle and falling back on friends, emotional control and restraining order requirements and how they've changed to be far less, as to where you can raise your voice and essentially get baited into fulfilling those requirements to have a straight restraining order put against you, which will make it harder to see your kids and get custody. And how you don't have to put the other parent down to stand up for yourself. You can show the judge through evidence in their actions that they are not working in the best interest of the child. And he goes over another great point I've always wondered is how men are looked at as suspicious for wanting to be educators and caregivers for children due to like a minority of men whose actions have been inappropriate, and how it makes men look less like caregivers in the court's eyes along with the rest of society. He also goes over lighter legal punishments for women than men. Honestly, in Michigan, I worked as a corrections officer. There's one women's prison in Michigan, and due to all the sexual abuse reports by staff members, there are 2,500 plus cameras in that facility. So a woman going to jail takes a far higher bar than men, just due to the housing of women and female offenders. He also goes over the ACE survey and the importance of knowing trauma, which I will be doing an episode over, and even how girls refine motor skills while young so they can sit still far more often than boys, as boys refine the gross motor skills, which is why they are so hyper. And if you listen to my other book review, by Dr. Becky Owens, she talks about schools not being designed for children's health and well-being. And on top of that, you can go to his sites and find different things he currently has available. He has mensfamilylaw.com, unionofdads.com, Facebook, Instagram pages. I'm seeing his shorts a lot more lately since I did a little research for this book. He also has a Dad's Law School VIP, which it essentially gives you all the resources for court, such as child custody action plan and video course, evidence, weekly, live podcast, strategy sessions, VIP private podcast, which I think is where the podcast ended up going, court-ready sample documents, dad's motivational moments, exclusive event access, a man's guide to child custody, and email support. Now, please know that this is a $297 course, which as somebody who doesn't have the funding is making nothing off this podcast. I could not justify paying that for even a month. But when I thought about it in terms of my DUI costs were about $4,000. So you'd essentially get 12 months of the school if you didn't have a lawyer that upfront cost for the $4,000 for a lawyer. And that was just my lawyer fees at the time. And that was years ago, almost 9 years ago now. So that is always an option. And as he says, you are seen, respected, and you are loved. I see you, I respect you, your kids love you, lastly, I love you. So I hope you liked this edition of the book club. Please know I'm not compensated in any way for this book review. I paid for it out of my own pocket. So if you liked it or you have any other book reviews, please send them my way, let me know. You can email me at fosterdaddirective@gmail.com. Give me any feedback, ideas, stories. Please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, may your kids' chaos be funny after 5 minutes and not 5 years. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.